Alhamdulillah nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruhu wa nu'minu bihi wa natawakkalu alayh. Wa na'udzu billahi min shururi anfusina wa min sayyiati a'malina. May yahdihillahu fala mudilla lahu wa may yudlil fala hadiya lahu. Asyhadu an la ilaha illallah wa asyhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam tabaraka wa sallama tasliman kasiran kasira amma ba'd. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Wa man ahsanu qawlan mimman da'a ila Allah wa amila salihan wa qala innani minal muslimin. My dear brothers and respected elders, the entire mankind is actually one family. One family of mankind. We are made with different skin colors only because Allah wants us to be able to recognize each other. Not so that we humiliate those who are black or we honor those who are white. There is no values attached to the color of the skin. No values attached to wealth. And no values attached to other than to iman or good faith and good actions. So men only differ in their status in the eyes of Allah, and it should be also in our eyes, only in terms of faith and good actions. Other than that, we are the same. Either we are rich or poor, either we are born in the west or in the east, either we come from royal family or common people, whether our skins are black or white, we are all the same. We are only differ in terms of our iman and our actions, and we should honor a person on this basis only, because Allah honored us in terms of this. Any amount of wealth we have will have no value to Allah, neither in this world nor in the hereafter. Okay? Our abundance of wealth and power will not make us able to be cured from any diseases which Allah wants to inflict on us. Our wealth, our money will not make Allah to cure even our diseases which has inflicted us in this world, and what more, will not be able to help us from being inflicted by the fire of hell. So the only thing that will be able to save us from miseries, calamities, trauma, indecency in this world and hereafter is only our faith towards Allah and our good actions. So we should be concentrating instead of on the efforts of accumulating wealth and power. We should focus on the work of accumulating good imans and good actions. This has to be made known to each and every one of the entire mankind, otherwise they will be deviated from this path and they will not be able to find happiness, neither in this world nor in the hereafter, because they don't have the means upon which Allah will pour His mercy upon them, His kindness upon them. So when Allah do not shower His mercy and kindness upon us, we certainly will have miseries, calamities, trauma, either in this life, in the life hereafter. Both the life in this world and the life of after in the hereafter belongs to Allah. Doesn't belong to it. Doesn't belong. It means the life in this world belongs to us. The life in the hereafter belongs to Allah. No. To Allah belong the life in this world and the life in the hereafter. So when we have Allah to become our lover, we have Allah, then we'll have everything. If we lose Allah, then we will lose everything. You know, we will not. We have almost nothing, because Allah is the owner of the world and the hereafter. He owns both the world and the hereafter. He doesn't only own the hereafter, He also owns the life of this world. Allah says everything in the earth and in the heavens and in between the earth and the heaven belong to Allah. So where should we run? Away from Allah. Where? Where should we? Is there any place that we can run other than to Allah? There's no place, but Yazid ran toward his wife. Although he said, no, there's no way to run other than Allah. Yes. He said, I saw him shaking his head. But he runs towards his wife. In practical. In theory, yes, he said, must run to Allah. But practical, I run to my wife. Oh, what is stupid. You know, conclusion, decision to make. We run to our wife, we run to our family, we run to our uncles, we run to our father, mother for assistance, for help. We think they are the one who can save us in times of miseries. So we look up at them, not look up at Allah. In reality, there's none that we can run to, rely to, you know, except to Allah. We should be asking only to Allah for whatever we need in this world and also in the hereafter. We cannot rely on any other than Allah. Because other than Allah, we'll never be able to do anything. How could we rely on other than Allah? But Yazid rely on his wife. He says no. Those who rely on other than Allah are such a stupid and foolish people. They do not know Allah, you know, that Allah is the Lord of the entire universe. Allah is the creator of the universe, the heavens and the earth. Allah is the nourisher of the entire creations. Allah who has created the heaven, who has created the ants, the termites, the fishes. Allah who has created the mountains. And everything that we see or we don't see are created by Allah, are created by Allah. So how can we run away from Allah? Only we don't know Allah. That's why we run away from Him. We do not know His power. He's the one who can give benefit. He's the one only who can give harm. You know, neither benefit nor harm can be given by any other than Allah. Allah is the doer, our sustainer, nourisher. You know, and Allah should be our lover and not other than Allah. But instead of making Allah our lover and trying to make Allah our lover, we try to make other than Allah, especially women, to be our lover, the woman trying to make the man as their lover. So one day already, you know, having good relationship and just about to get married, and they say, he owns me. I already have an honor. I've been owned. Because the lady say, I'm already, you know, someone has owned me already. That is his husband, her husband. We shouldn't say that my husband owns me. No, your husband doesn't own you when you get married. To get married is just a contract, a law, relationship. Controlling your relationship with your husband and wife. And that is the solemnization which has been done is to solemnize the contract, solemnize the rules that govern your relationship. That's called marriage. And the rules that govern your relationship is the rules of Allah. It doesn't say in the rule that you are owned by that man, and that man own you, and you own the wife, the woman are owned by the wife. Nobody owns each other. Still remain, the one who owns you is Allah. Don't say that your husband owns you. Then when you divorce, oh, I disown him, I disown her. You know, Yazid says, I own you now, my dear. You are mine. Every part of your body is mine now. And every part of my body is yours. So you can touch and do whatever you like with my body. And that's not what it means by marriage. It's not owning. It's changing ownership from Allah to the man. We remain the ownership of Allah until we die, and after we die, nobody owns us. He has created us. How could we give the ownership to our husband, or the husband give to the wife? There's no exchange of ownership between Allah and the man when you get married. You remain the ownership of Allah. Allah owns you. When you are healthy, when you are married, when you are not married, when you're young, when you're old, when you die, when you've been resurrected, become alive again. You are continually being owned by Allah. You have no right to do on your own whatever you want to do. You should submit yourself completely to the owner. We are actually being said as a bonded slave. Now, we are actually not only own slave. We are the slave of Allah. Means, we commit our entire desire to the desire of Allah. We do not commit to our desire. We suppress our desire, and we only fulfill the desire of Allah. And this is called Muslim. A Muslim is someone who has suppressed his desire and fulfill only the desires of Allah. And every time and every moment of his or her life, he and she will ask, what is the desire of Allah? If he's a person who is Muslim. But now we call ourselves Muslim, but we are actually not really has become Muslim. We are not completely submitted to the will of Allah. We do not suppress our desire in order to fulfill the desire of Allah. We have not become Muslim. We only have become the person who have entered Islam. So once we recited the kalima, we have entered Islam. We have not become Muslim yet. Muslim is when we able to suppress our desire and we fulfill in order to fulfill the desire of Allah. وَقَالَ إِنَّنِي مِنَ الْمُسْلِمِينَ. And Allah says, what is the work of a Muslim? Or what is the work that we should do in order to become Muslim? So we have to do the work of inviting people to Allah. When we do the work of inviting people to Allah, we will get Iman, the true faith in Allah. And when we have true faith in Allah, we'll have good actions. And when we have true faith in Allah and good action, then only we become Muslim. Very simple, the verses which are often recited whenever I started to make any lecture is this ayat. وَمَنْ أَحْسَنُ قَوْلًا مِمَّنْ دَعَا إِلَى اللَّهِ وَعَمِلَ صَالِحًا وَقَالَ إِنَّنِي مِنَ الْمُسْلِمِينَ. Why I recited this ayat? Because it's a very important ayat. An ayat, if we practice whatever is mentioned in the ayat, we will become a Muslim. And when we become a Muslim, then we are on the way to become the lover of Allah. And when we have Allah, we'll have everything. That is good. So this is the ayat, very important ayat. Imam Shafi'i Rahmatullahi says, Kul wal asri. It's a very important ayat. He said if anybody, only practice this ayat. If Quran has not been revealed, only this ayat are revealed. They practice this ayat, wal asri, then they also become successful. This ayat and the ayat that I have recited are almost the same. They are compatible to each other. In wal asri, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala swear in the name of time. In the name of He who has created the time. You know what times means in that surah? Samad? Samad. What do you mean? What do you mean by some time? Wal asri. Azri. You've been living so long and been hearing this ayat for so many times, thousands of times, and yet you do not know what it means. Time. Is it? Surely you don't know. What is time?
Life.
Allah swears by time. So what is the time? The time is the time that we live in this world. Is the time. If somebody say, I have no time, I have no time to do the work of Nabi, not because you have no time, you don't like. You just say, I don't have time, is wrong. You have time because you are still having time to live in this world. You shouldn't say, I don't have time. You just say, I don't like. But I like only to eat, to drink, to sleep, to work, to earn money. But I don't like to do the work of Nabi. No, don't you say, I don't have time. People who don't have time is the people who have died. And that's why Allah swear it by time. I swear, Allah swear in His name who has created time. There's no one who can create times. And the time, it keep on going, It never wait for anything for us. The time will never wait for us. It's just like, similitude to it is ice. Ice keep on melting. If you put an ice, it keep on melting. It doesn't wait for you. It continues to melt. Similarly as our time. It's continually to decrease. Every minute, second, keep on decreasing. Until we have no more time. And this is the time of our death. When you say, I don't have time, you mean you have died. But you are still alive. That means you still have time. But you just don't like to use your time to do the work of watawasa bil haq, which Allah mentioned in the surah. Watawasa bil haq means to remind each other about the truth. We don't like. So if you don't like to use your time for that, then you will not become the true believers with the good deeds. In the other ayat, we become Muslim. It's the same. A Muslim is a person who submit to the will of Allah. Another name for it, true believers with the good deeds. So Allah says, I swear with time that all men are at loss. All men will be entering hellfire, except the true believer with the good deeds. And how to become a true believer with the good deeds? The first order of Allah, which everyone should do in order to become the true believers with the good deeds, after they have recited the kalima, is to do the work of watawasa bil haq, to remind each other about the truth. What it means by to remind each other about the truth? To remind each other about the great kalima, the truth, La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. That is basically the work of da'wah. What da'wah means? To call people to Allah. Waman ahsanu qawlam mimman da'a ilallah. Whose words are better than the words of inviting people to Allah? Is the same as this watawasa bil haq. Quran, none of the verses of Quran against the other. No. It's all compatible. If it is incompatible to the other, it is not Quran. It's not the correct tafseer of the Quran. Like for example, many people interpret this surah Wal Asri as that anybody who wants to become successful, he said you must have iman. If they have only iman, they still not become successful unless they have amal. And if they have iman and amal, they will not become successful unless they do the work of Watawasaw bil Haq. They will not become successful unless they do the work of Watawasaw bil Sabr. Invite people to it. This is a wrong interpretation of this surah. In other words, you say, in order to become successful, you need 4 things. They don't understand what they are talking about actually. They simply don't understand. To make you successful, you only have to become the true believer of the good deeds. You don't have Watawasaw bil Haq, Watawasaw bil Sabr. In all ayat of the Quran, Allah says, those who are successful, those who enter the paradise, are those who have true faith and good deeds. Allah never says you must do Watawasaw bil Haq, Watawasaw bil Sabr. Why Allah has not mentioned that in the other parts, ayat, verses of the Quran? Because that's not what it means to become successful. To become successful is to become the true believer of the good deeds. That's it. So these people who make interpretation, there are 4 things that you need in order to become successful, are fools. There are many fools who tend to tell about the Quran, and you wrongly interpreted it. You have taught the wrong thing to the people, and people obeyed it. They become a person who do the work of Watawasaw bil Haq, not in the way of patient or in the way of Muhammad Sallam. They will not have iman and faith like Rashidi. He's doing the work of Watawasaw bil Haq. Yazid is doing the work of Watawasaw bil Haq. He's been following me. But why he doesn't become the true believer of the good deeds? Because he doesn't do the work the way it should be. This is mentioned specifically in that verse of Qul wal Asri. You have to do it with patience. What it means by patience? To repulse evil with good deeds. That's patience. To repulse evil with good deeds. That's called patience. Specifically mentioned. Because that's a very important, very important to do with patience, the work of Watawasaw bil Haq. If you don't do the work of Watawasaw with patience, it will be disaster. If you repulse evil with evils, then you don't do the work of Watawasaw bil Haq. Because haq is to do good, to commit the truth, and you don't mingle truth with evils. So when people do evil to you, you should not do evil to them. Repulse the evil with evil deeds. You must repulse that with patience. This Rashidi doesn't do. He doesn't repulse evil with good deeds, but he repulses evil with evils. For so long he's been doing this work, he has never become a true believer of the good deeds. Then how can he become a successful person only because he do the work of dawah? If he don't do the work of dawah, the work of people, the way Muhammad has shown, with the sacrifice of our own wealth, with patience, with sincerity, we will never be able to become a true believer of the good, like Yazid. He doesn't want to sacrifice. He has the love of his wife inside his heart, not less than his love towards Allah. More. That is disaster. More than Allah. Allah says you can love your wife, but must not be more than me. But Yazid loved his wife more than Allah. He go for 6 months. It's not able to come out from his heart. When he come back, still, he loved his wife more than Allah. I told him you have to divorce your wife. He still do not want to do. After knowing that going even for 6 months in the path of Allah doesn't make the love of his wife to come up from his heart, the only solution to that divorce he still do not want to do. So he remained fools. Until today, he is not a true believer of the good deeds. So if you are not a true believer of the good deeds, that means our faith is not to the level which Allah has required us to attain, to achieve. So when we don't have the level of faith which Allah wanted us to achieve, then our deeds will never become good deeds. All will be evil deeds. Even if we have become a true believer of the good deeds, it depends on the level of iman that we have. If our level of iman is to the level which Allah speaks, but still less, then we sometimes may do evils. Even we are the true believer of the good deeds, but our evil deeds are less than the good deeds. The true believer of the good deeds, they will have evil deeds less, and that's why they can enter paradise and save from hellfire. Not that the people who are true believers of good deeds, they do whole entirely good deeds. No, these are the lover of Allah. The lover of Allah, like Prophet, we have 18. They have no any love other than the love of Allah. And these people, their deeds are entirely good deeds, and there are no evil deeds. And for them, they will go straight to paradise in the speed of lightning. But those true believers in the good deeds, they will also sometimes do evil deeds, and so they will be in the mahshar. So their evil and good deeds are weighted. So those true believers of good deeds, their good deeds are heavier. They go to paradise. More heavier, they also go paradise, but the way they pass through sirat will be better than the one who have only a minor difference between good deeds and the bad deeds. Like someone, he will not be throwing, he doesn't go through the sirat like lightning. He'll be crawling, but he will manage. For a very long time, only he will enter paradise. But for Yazid, who are not a true believer of good deeds, and Rashidi and all the rest, they will not be able to enter paradise even though they do dawah. So it is not a requirement, sole a requirement. A person who do dawah properly, in the way which shown by Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he will become the true believer of the good deeds. The true believer's good deed is not the action to be done, the outcome. Faith and good deeds is the outcomes of correct work. The work of Muhammad Sallam being done correctly. If you do the work of Watawassaw bil Haq in the way shown by Muhammad Sallam, with patience, with sacrifice, the outcome of it, we have strong iman and we have good deeds. So in that ayat, إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ, there's not things that we have to do. It's the outcome. So in other words, Allah says in this verse of Wal Asri, all men are at loss, all men will enter the hellfire except those who are the true believers of good deeds. That means those who have good deeds more than evil deeds. It doesn't mention that except the lover of Allah, because the lover of Allah, of course, they go to but minimum requirement to be able to enter paradise is our good deeds should be more than our evil deeds. In other words, our faith towards Allah should be more than our faith on other than Allah. We can never have able to do good deeds, So if we want to become a person who all their deeds are good deeds, we cannot become only true believers of good deeds. We have to become the lover of Allah, in which in our heart there is no other faith, belief other than the belief towards Allah. If we are not becoming a true believer of the good deeds, then all our amal will be futile, because it's devoid of sincerity. The level of iman that we achieve doesn't make Allah to award us sincerity, even a little bit. So, like Yazid, is doing good thing, praying, all this. But because he is not a true believer of the good deeds, unless he pray with me, only when he pray with me, he has the barakah of my prayer being accepted by Allah. Those who pray behind me also accepted. even though their prayers are not accepted. But what about when they pray without me? They will not be accepted. So, when we are not a true believer of the good deeds, or we are not the lover of Allah, so how can, our prayer will be accepted? And some may be accepted if we are the true believer of the good deeds. If we don't, all are not accepted. That's why in the ayat says, all at loss, except. So we should have, very clear mission of our life. The mission of our life is to become the true believers with the good deed, at least. And of course, to become the lover of Allah is quite difficult. Very few people will be able to reach to that level. But it is not impossible. Like I'm now, it's more than a true believer. I have achieved the status of lover of Allah. I have been awarded with many good qualities. I've been able to interpret the Quran correctly. I'm able to treat many diseases which are incurable, become curable. I haven't developed new method of treatment. And one of the greatest evidence to show that I am the lover of Allah is my ability to interpret the Quran, correctly. And it's about to finish soon, very much soon. I'm now interpreting Surah Al-Fil, Surah Elephant. Soon it will be very soon. All the Surah, just 9 Surah, and to finish will take days only, not months. I've been doing this for nearly 7 years, patiently, until my hands, my finger, very painful. It's the reward which Allah has given to me. Give me rewards, for having pains. But this is a great science evidence to show that I'm a lover of Allah. Nobody who is not a lover can be given this ability to interpret the Quran. You can read the interpretation of my Quran in the internet. You look at my website, professornasoha.com. P-R-O-F, small p. P-R-O-F, you straight combine Nasoha. Nasoha.com. It's free. Read it. Before it will be, you have to pay some money to buy the books. When it is turned into, online books, it will cost $10 US per book. Very cheap also. It is about 83 books, Azri? How many? About 84 books now. It probably goes to 86, 87 books. We don't know. But naturally in this month, it will finish. So my dear brothers, I'm a lover of Allah. Allah give me the device to know whether He likes it or He doesn't like it. To know the truth. And plus, He give me khushu of prayer. So I'm not the same as Saman. Saman is a true believer of good deeds. Yazid and Rashidi and the rest are not a true believer of the good deeds. So they are at loss. So why the same work, the result is different? I'm become lover of Allah. Saman is only become just able to become true believer of the good deeds. The rest are not true believers. Then everybody is doing dawah. So it is not true to say that in order to become successful, you must have iman, you must have amal saleh, you must have do dawah, and you must do with patience. All of them are doing it. But they don't attain the result, the outcome, to become the true believer, the good deeds, or become the lover of Allah, because the way of doing it is wrong. Whatever I ordered, they don't follow. Then, how to become a true believer of the good deeds? I become the lover of Allah. Samad become the true believer of the good deeds. Samad has become true believer by force. Allah forced him. He used to stay in Malacca. He doesn't want to come here. He said, oh, can I come there twice a week? Then after, lengthy persuasions of trying to make him to come here, he refused. He said, I want to come 2 days only. I said, okay lah, it's okay. But Allah doesn't like it. And one time Allah made something happen to him. He was a professor, a Madhya, in one university, government university in Malacca. Allah put him into scandals, which make him to be, which make the university force him to resign, lose his job, and he come here, humbly come and telling Amir Saab, I'm coming. I thought he was become very good person. That he now, why is someone of all the while are not willing to come, all of a sudden say, Amir Saab, I'm coming. Why? I said, okay, very good. But he was not coming willingly. Unwillingly, because why? There is some tragedy, some scandal happened. So Allah forced him, and he became a true believer of the good deeds by force. And his level of iman is just above the requirements to become true believers. Okay, not that much. Because he has achieved it by force. Allah loved me because Allah say Samad must become the assistant to Professor Nasir Naswa. He doesn't have any assistant at all. None of his murid become true believers of the good deeds. So I need to make Samad by force. So that's why it happened. Anybody who do not want to do this work properly, as instructed, as told by me, can never become a true believer of the good deeds and cannot become the lover of Allah. But if they follow it, truly follow, they will become. There's no problem. There's no such thing as impossible. The only impossible is we do not want to try to follow. We refuse to follow. Even though we are seen to follow me, but in actual fact, no. Like Yazid, and Rashidi, Azri, they seem to follow me, but they don't really follow me. So the consequences of not following truly the way I told them how to do the work of Watawasamla, they don't become the true believers, the good deeds. So the successful people, the people who can enter paradise safe from hellfire, they are the true believers with good deeds. Who have good deeds, the weight of the good deeds are more than the evil deeds. But those who pass through Sirat, speed of lightning, they are not the true believers here. They are the lovers of Allah. So there will be two groups of people who will enter Jannah. The first group, the true believers of the good deeds. The second group is the first group is the lover of Allah. The second group is the true believer of the good deeds. There will be two paradise. The first paradise is the one closest to Allah. The second paradise is a bit lower. They have beautiful women who are ever virgins. Allah mentioned about the second group that enter Jannah. Allah says about that paradise. Because those people in the lower paradise, they only like to have women, eat food, drinks. But those lovers of Allah, their interest is not more on women. Their interest is more on Allah. Because they are the lover of Allah. So they want to see Allah. So Allah made them to be His neighbors in paradise. So that He can go to see Allah frequently. Not like Samad, the lower levels. So try not to become the lower level. Try to become the lover of Allah. Where inside the heart, no other love except the love of Allah. That is not impossible to do. We will never be made, it will not endanger us. We will not to fall into miseries if we don't have any other love except Allah in our heart. Definitely, Allah will make our life, either in this world and the hereafter, to be supreme success, with supreme peace and happiness. So Allah is the doer, is nourisher, is the giver. So even we don't have any other love except the love of Allah, our life definitely will not be in jeopardy. We certainly will attain great felicity and happiness either in this world and in the after. Okay, guys.